In this short video, I'll show you how to generate results for your early year students and how to interpret the reports and interactive dashboard. Once your class has completed their assessments, the next step is to finish the session by generating their results. Start by going to the Assessments tab in the sidebar, and here you'll see all of your assessments ordered by most recently set. Find the one you need. We'll use Reception Phonics and click View next to the assessment. In the top right corner, you'll see a large Generate Results button. Simply click it and Quest will process the assessment data for you. Then the results will be available by clicking into the Results tab, and they'll be available from the next day as they calibrate overnight. I'm now going to show you how to access and interpret the PDF reports and dashboard on Quest Progress. So to access the reports, head over to the Results tab in the sidebar, and then you're going to click on Download Reports in the top right. And this is the first thing I would recommend doing. The dashboard you can see below is where Quest gets really interesting because you can triangulate data and you can dig into whatever you're interested in. So I promise I will cover the dashboard shortly, but for now I'm going to focus on the PDF reports, and these are available at different levels. So there's a school attainment report that focuses on whole school trends and deep dives into year groups and is particularly relevant for SLT and school leaders. And then there's a class attainment report that's much more focused on the action points for classroom teachers. And then all of the data is downloadable as a CSV2 if you want to store that data elsewhere. So I'm going to walk you through an EYFS class attainment report in this video, and they will look something like this. So here we've got nursery class at St James's Academy, and this is a spring maths assessment. We start with a list of pupil names and a breakdown of the number of questions within the assessment each student could answer, struggled to answer, or did not answer. And then you can see this data is mapped to these performance indicators: above expected, progressing well, working towards, and needs support. We can then see a percentage breakdown of these performance descriptors across the whole group, with the children's names mapped to each performance descriptor. That is then followed by the same information, but broken down into various pupil groups. So boys, followed by girls, and then any other pupil groups that we may have access to via your MIS. So pupils eligible for pupil premium, pupils eligible for free school meals, pupils with special educational needs, and pupils with English as an additional language, to name but a few. Now, below that, we have the performance by aspects of learning. So this is a look at the strengths and areas for improvement across the nursery class. And then that same data broken down into your various pupil groups once again. So boys, girls, PP, free school meals, SEN, and EAL. That is then followed by a question level analysis, which is color-coded by aspects of learning. Ideally, you'll observe a decreasing trend from left to right within each aspect of learning, reflecting the increasing difficulty of questions. Any anomalies in this pattern can be investigated further by reviewing the full question transcript that is just below, so we can understand the causes. Now, an interactive version of the question level analysis and the gap analysis, which I will scroll to, is available through the dashboard, which I will show you shortly. But here with the gap analysis, you can see questions that children could answer, struggled to answer, or were left unanswered. So you can start to spot different patterns and trends. Below that, we have our assessment data over time. So we can see a list of our nursery class children and their performance scores across any assessment data points that we have. Again, this is color-coded so we can quickly identify each student's progress and investigate further where limited progress has been made. Now, let's move to the dashboard and show you how to make the most of the data that you can find there. Just as a reminder, you can find your dashboard by heading to the Results tab in the sidebar. Now, you can use this green box on the left-hand side to filter. So what we're looking at right now is across the whole school, but I can use this drop down here to only show early years data. If both your nursery and reception classes have used Quest Progress, you'll be able to filter to the year group of interest. We're going to look at my reception group data. Although if you're a slightly bigger school, you may want to filter by class, and you can do so by clicking into the class filter. So we can now see the average percentage scores for my reception group in their autumn assessment. And we can see this in maths and English. And I can expand English to see a breakdown by assessment component. So here's the average score for communication, literacy and language. And here is the average score for phonics across my reception group. And once you've been using Quest for a while, you can filter back and see assessment data over a much longer period. And this progress column will start to populate too. I can view and filter by pupil groups just here, and this will pull through any pupil groups that we have access to via your MIS. And then if I want to run a comparison, so for example, look at how boys compare to girls in their autumn assessments, I can do so by running the comparison just here. I'll remove this comparison for now. So we're back to looking at the whole reception group. Now, below the average scores, you can see a list of pupil names. I can order this data, so if I want to look at maths and view top to bottom by pupil performance, I can simply click on maths and it will order this for me. Or perhaps I want to filter the whole dashboard by subject. So let's stick with maths for consistency. And what I can see is a breakdown by aspects of learning for my reception group. So I can immediately see the areas of strength and areas for improvement across the class. And by the way, if you head over to the distribution tab and click view data table, you'll be able to see where the boundary points are for the various performance descriptors just here. And below that, we have the aspects of learning again. Scrolling further, this question level analysis is really helpful. We've obviously seen this data before in the PDF reports, but this dashboard presents this in an interactive way. So we can click into individual questions that we want to investigate further, and it will take us to that question in the question transcript. We are going to be building features soon that will show you exactly how the children answered each question and provide you with some connected intervention as well. And below that, you have an interactive version of the gap analysis. From here, you can also click into specific questions that you'd like to investigate further. So this is all interactive. So if I want to look at an individual pupil in a bit more detail, for example, if I click on Serena here, I can see what Serena's specific data looks like. So here we have Serena's autumn assessment data. And again, I can break up the assessment data if I want to into individual assessment components by clicking this drop-down arrow. In the top right, you'll see a download report button. And this is a pupil report that you could share in a parents' evening, for example. And you can toggle between a data-focused report or one that's more narrative-based. We are ultimately going to be making these reports customizable because we appreciate that schools are comfortable sharing varying amounts of information with parents. Now, this is where the Quest dashboard gets really interesting. So as I said, this is all interactive. So if I click on one of these tiles, so here we've got Serena's autumn maths assessment, we're then brought in to look at Serena's assessment in more detail. So I can see straight away that she's done really well in measure and pattern, but perhaps calculation is an area that we might want to revisit. Now, if I scroll down, you can filter the entire transcript by topic. And you can also open up each question to see how the student answered. And that concludes this short video on generating results for your early year students and how to interpret the reports and dashboard.